of my 28-day British accent challenge. So you've come a long way. In the last 5 days we've done the warm-up and we've covered 6 sounds: I and E, and A and I. So I think it's time for a review, don't you? The very important thing to always remember is that as you move forwards, take the time to go back over all the work you've already done, because I'm sure you've put in a lot of effort so far practicing the sounds we've covered, and it would be a shame if you then moved forwards forgetting these learnings. So I would recommend that every 5 days, just taking maybe an hour, half an hour, whatever time you've got, to take stock of everything that's been covered and perhaps create yourself a little lesson whereby you perhaps create some sentences including as many of these sounds as possible. For most of my clients, the biggest challenge comes when communicating with sounds that haven't yet been studied, because these sounds don't only cause big challenges in and of themselves, but can also have a big effect, a big impact on the sounds next to them. So it's really very, very important to be aware of the sounds next to these sounds that we've already covered. It may be that you can indeed pronounce these sounds, but not in combination with other ones. We're going to start with a very short warm-up now. If you'd like to do the full warm-up, please go back to day 1 of the challenge and repeat that before going ahead with the rest of this video. For those of you who want to do a short warm-up, let's just start by chanting some of the sounds we've already covered. What you might find is that when you do the repeated chant of A and I, it might just be a bit more difficult for you. And that's because you're struggling to expand the space in those cavities at the back of the mouth. If this is the case, just do one long chant for now, but keep coming back to that repeated chant to see if you can master it. Another thing you can do that will be really helpful is to deepen the back of the mouth like a cave, and to stifle a smile and hum. This is a really good exercise because it really sums up the technique for speaking with a British accent, which is to really support your voice using these muscles here, whilst also creating a nice big space in the cavities at the back of the mouth. And this way you'll have a strong voice with smooth sounds. Now that we've done the warm-up, which is what we did on day 1, we're going to start by covering the sounds we did on day 2. So we're going to start with I and E. So as you probably remember, E is a long sound and it requires that you use the soft palate. So a really good exercise is just to create a nice big stretch. You can also work the soft palate by drinking through a straw, by doing some exaggerated yawning. Anything you can do to really feel its existence. This is really important because you can't set the intention for a sound to resonate there if you don't know where it is or how it feels when you're using that space. So coming back to the long E, the tongue widens and comes up to meet the mid to back top teeth, covering the underside of the teeth. E. If I do that on its own, I get E in the mouth. So I create the space using the soft palate. E. The same goes for the short I, only I'm making a less exaggerated movement, which means my mouth is less open and the tongue doesn't widen as much. It doesn't cover the underside of the mid to back teeth. It just touches the inner edges. And I also don't lift my soft palate quite as much. This sound resonates a tiny bit more in the mouth. We'll look at two words. Eat, long E, it, short I. Eat it, eat it, eat it. And you'll find the sound resonates more here for the first one and a little bit lower for the second. Eat it. Okay, first sound covered. Day 2. Day 3, we covered E and A. Now, of all the sounds, A is the one which requires the mouth to be at its most open. The lower jaw comes down and the corners go back. The back of the tongue dips down and we'll hear a loud piercing smack as we hit the A. A. Be careful you don't get ah. Some people get that or ah. That means that the tip of the tongue is down and not the back. Ah. So the back of the tongue should be lower than the tip of the tongue. At. Am. You can really hear this loud, piercing, almost kind of bang of a sound. Ah. It's very strong. Now for the E. It's similar in positioning. It's just less exaggerated. On this occasion, the corners don't go quite as far back and the lower jaw doesn't come quite as far down. I'm not pushing the back of the tongue down. The tongue is not quite as low as it is for the A. It's closer to the position that we made for E. So you might want to look at those two together as well. So it's, short I, edible, it's edible, it's edible. And then we could do, he said it. So we've got the long E, the E in said, and the I in it. He said it. He said it. Good, well done. And now we're going to move on to the A and the I. Now these two sounds are diphthongs, and that's because we move between the mouth positioning for two different sounds. So if we look at A, it moves between the positioning for E and I. A. So the tongue is lifting up at the back to move between E and I. A. The tongue widens and just touches the inner edges of the mid to back teeth, and we use the soft palate. So the sound is rising. A. May, say, day. And now looking at I. So I is a bigger movement because we're moving from the position for A to the position for I. So it's similar to A in that we're moving to the same final position, which means the sound travels upwards into the cavities around the soft palate, and the tongue widens slightly as we bring the mid to back of the tongue up to touch the mid to back top teeth. A. I. So you can see the difference perhaps there. A. I. I is just a much bigger movement. We're lowering the jaw much more. And we're starting in the position for A. I. My. Why. Sigh. I say. I think I may. Okay, doing so well. Please do feel free to rewind and pause and to practice in between. Do lots and lots of warm-ups, so perhaps you've already found an exercise that really helps you. And if you have, please do pause the video to repeat that exercise. For a lot of people, it's stifling a smile and humming. It could also be lowering the bottom jaw and humming. Or it could be yawning to really activate your soft palate for all these sounds that need to travel up. Whatever it is, do it now, please. And when you're ready, we start the video and we'll go over some sentences. Okay, hopefully you're nicely warmed up. Let's have a go at some sentences, including all these sounds that we've covered over the last 5 days. Is it me, or did he say maybe? She said they might come back before midnight. It was a long flight back. Any idea when I can take a break? Thank you so much for watching day 5 of the 28-day British Accent Challenge. Please do be sure to subscribe to my channel so that you receive a notification when I post tomorrow's video. And if you're not receiving notifications, please do check your push notifications and make sure they're set to send an email to your phone or your computer, or to send you a little notification that pops up, whatever you prefer. As always, if you're keen to look up the 45 sounds in the International Phonetic Index, then you can just scroll down to the comments box and you'll find a link where you can get a free 7-day trial of my membership site, where you will find 60 plus videos. So please go ahead and do that if you're ready. Okay, look forward to seeing you tomorrow.